I gave AI and an ant colony the same disaster problem. A rural community needs food. The main road to the city is blocked by a landslide, and the city can still talk to emergency services through AI. But the people on the ground know the footpaths, the slopes, the trees, and the tree species, and the places where water may still be hiding. I visited rural Zimbabwe after Cyclone Idai to provide technical assistance as part of the United Nations Post-Disaster Needs Assessment. So, this comparison is not just theory for me. By the end, we will test accuracy, speed, robustness, and community impact. And the results should make us rethink what intelligence really means. Welcome to another episode of BIGA Solutions, where we explore the nexus of biomimicry, indigenous genius, and ethical artificial intelligence. B means biomimicry, or ideas inspired by nature. IG means indigenous genius, often called indigenous knowledge. And A means artificial intelligence, but not just any artificial intelligence. Ethical artificial intelligence. So, for this test, imagine the problem very clearly. A rural community sits on one side of the mountain, the city is on the other side. Food is available in the city, emergency services are active, and people can still communicate, but the main road has been cut off by a landslide. That one blocked road changes everything. The official map may still show a road. The AI system may still see a route. And the city may still think help can move from point A to point B. On the ground, point A and point B are now separated by mud, rock, water, fear, and time. So, the test begins right there. If we ask a centralized AI system for help, it can process messages, weather reports, road data, requests from the community, and instructions from the city. That's useful, and we shouldn't pretend otherwise. A centralized system works differently because many small observers test the environment from where they stand, instead of one center trying to know everything. One person checks a footpath, another confirms a bridge has collapsed, and a farmer knows which slope stays wet after heavy rain. A young person on a motorbike discovers that a narrow ridge can still be crossed. Now, we have two types of intelligence facing the same question. One says, bring me the data and I will calculate. The other says, let many small searches begin, and let the answer grow from what survives contact with the ground. Those are very different ways of thinking. Cyclone Idai made this kind of problem real in Zimbabwe in March 2019. Published humanitarian reports described severe flooding, landslides, damaged roads, and communities in distress around Chimanimani. Oxfam reported that about 270,000 people were affected in Zimbabwe, and those numbers represent real families waiting for help. So, when we compare AI with swarm intelligence, we aren't doing a cute science experiment. We are asking which system helps people when the world changes faster than the database. Accuracy matters, speed matters, the ability to keep working matters, and community impact matters. If the system gets the answer wrong, somebody may go hungry. Ants are a good place to start because they solve the food problem without a leader standing on a rock giving instructions. No ant wakes up and says, today I will manage the national food distribution system. It would be funny if it did, but that's not how the system works. An ant searches. It walks, tests, turns, fails, tries again, and when it finds food, it lays a chemical trail called a pheromone trail. Other ants pick up that signal and follow it. If the path works, more ants use it, and the trail becomes stronger. If the path stops working, the signal fades. The system rewards success, and it allows bad routes to disappear without waiting for a central office to admit the old plan is finished. Researchers use this behavior as the basis for ant colony optimization. Marco Dorigo and colleagues developed the early ant system work in the 1990s, and the basic idea still feels almost too simple. Many small agents explore possible routes, good routes get reinforced, and weak routes lose influence. Now, bring that back to the landslide. The official road is gone, but the need for food hasn't gone anywhere. If we think like ants, we don't wait for one perfect map before anybody moves. We allow many safe, small searches to begin, and we let the shared picture improve as people report what they actually find. Maybe one group checks the old footpath near the river and discovers that the crossing is too dangerous. Another group tries a higher path and finds that it is slower, but passable. A third person knows a household with stored maize nearby, and now the first food movement doesn't need to come all the way from the city. That's accuracy from below. Not perfect accuracy, because human beings can also be wrong, tired, scared, or misinformed. But it's accuracy that keeps being corrected by contact with the environment, and in a disaster, that may beat a clean answer built on stale data. Speed also changes meaning here. AI may answer in seconds, but if the answer points to a blocked road, that speed isn't helpful. A swarm may look messy at first, because 10 people are checking 10 things, but the group is learning in parallel. This is one reason nature is humbling. The ant doesn't understand the whole forest, but the colony can still discover a working path through it. Ants remind us that intelligence can also mean many small corrections happening at once. But ants can't answer the human part of the problem. They don't ask who is elderly, who has a disability, who has a baby, who owns the land, who gave consent, or who will be blamed if the plan fails. The next question is how a group decides when the route is good enough. Bees add another layer to this conversation. When a honeybee colony needs a new home, scouts fly out and inspect possible nest sites. They come back and dance for the sites they have found, and better sites tend to get more support. Thomas Seeley at Cornell has spent years explaining this process, and his work on honeybee democracy gives us a useful image here. The bees don't simply follow the first excited scout. They keep comparing options until enough scouts gather around one site, and then the swarm commits. That's not slow thinking, it's disciplined thinking. The swarm isn't waiting forever, and it isn't treating the loudest signal as the final answer. Now, compare that with AI in our landslide scenario. An AI system may receive a message saying, route through the eastern footpath may still be open. If the system treats that one message as enough, emergency services may send people into danger. If it waits for confirmation from different sources, the response may move a little slower, but with far less risk. This is where speed needs wisdom. We often admire AI because it responds quickly, and quick response can save lives. But in a disaster, a fast wrong instruction can cause harm faster too. Bees teach us that decentralized systems can still have a threshold. They can say, we aren't moving the whole group based on one signal. That idea can help us design better AI support for emergency response. Don't ask the model for one answer only. Ask what signals agree, what signals conflict, and what still needs a human check. For BIGA Solutions, biomimicry becomes practical at that point. We aren't copying bees because bees are cute. We are learning a pattern. Search widely, compare options, wait for enough confirmation, then move. The beauty is that this pattern can be used by people, by technology, and by a community under pressure. And still, bees aren't enough. They can teach decision logic, but they don't carry ancestral memory of a mountain, a river, a path, or a water source. That's where indigenous genius enters the test, not as decoration, but as intelligence. The AI may not even know how to request. When I think about rural Zimbabwe after Cyclone Idai, I don't only think about damaged infrastructure. I think about people standing in places where the map didn't fully explain the problem. A road can disappear on paper in one sentence, but in real life, it changes food, medicine, funerals, school, livestock, water, and trust. This explains why indigenous genius matters in the test. In many rural communities, knowledge is not stored in one person like a file on a server. It's distributed across elders, farmers, children, footpaths, place names, seasons, trees, soils, and repeated observation. One person may know which tree species tend to grow near certain kinds of moisture. Another may understand which slopes become dangerous after several days of rain. Somebody may also remember an old path used before the main road existed. And a younger person may know which sections can still be crossed by bicycle or motorbike. None of those observations alone solves the whole food problem. Together, they form a living map that may not look like a satellite image, but can answer questions that a satellite image may miss. Where can we walk safely? Which homestead has stored grain? Which stream crossing looks calm but becomes dangerous after sunset? And who needs food first because they can't travel? This is the human swarm. And it's not random crowd noise. It's place-based intelligence built through long contact with the environment, checked through community memory, and updated when people see something new. That's very close to what nature teaches us, except the human version carries ethics, relationships, and responsibility. Research on indigenous knowledge systems in rural Zimbabwe connects this kind of knowledge to water and land management, especially under climate stress. Other African water adaptation research points in the same direction. Local and indigenous knowledge can shape how communities respond to changing water conditions. That doesn't mean every local claim is automatically correct, but it means the knowledge deserves respect, verification, and consent. Consent isn't a side issue. If an outside team comes into a community, extracts knowledge about water sources, paths, plant indicators, and survival strategies, then turns it into a product that the community doesn't control, that isn't ethical AI. That's extraction with better branding. So, in our disaster test, the AI shouldn't say, "Give me your knowledge so I can own the answer." It should say, "How can I help you coordinate what you already know, protect what should remain protected, and communicate with emergency services without erasing your authority?" That shift changes everything. The community isn't a data source at the bottom of the system. The community is part of the intelligence. The AI becomes a tool for coordination, translation, summarization reports, comparing risks, and helping the city understand what the ground is saying. Think about the food problem again. The city may know where the supplies are. The AI may help track requests, weather warnings, vehicle availability, and messages from different teams. But the community may know which path is safe today, which one is safe only in the morning, and which one looks safe but has already trapped cattle before. That's the piece centralized systems often miss. They can process language, images, tables, and maps, but if they don't know whose knowledge counts. They may produce an answer that feels efficient from far away and dangerous on the ground. So, who wins the test? On accuracy, after the map has changed, the swarm has a strong case. Local sensing can notice a blocked path before the database updates, and community memory can explain dangers that never existed in the official road network. On speed, AI wins the first few seconds. It can summarize, route messages, and respond quickly. But swarm intelligence wins the next few minutes and hours if many safe searches happen at once. Because the ground reality gets tested in parallel. When something breaks, decentralized systems carry a serious advantage. One phone dies, another person can still walk. One path fails, another path can be tested. One report is wrong, another report can correct it. On community impact, AI alone loses unless it changes its posture. A system that tells people what to do without respecting local knowledge may move resources, but it can damage trust. Under disaster pressure, trust isn't soft because trust is part of the responsible system. That's the scary result. AI isn't defeated because it lacks intelligence. It becomes dangerous when it believes intelligence lives only in the center. The model may be large, the servers may be expensive, and the interface may feel impressive, but the landslide doesn't care about the interface. The International Energy Agency now tracks the energy demand connected to AI, and that should matter to anyone who cares about sustainability. If we build larger and larger AI systems that still ignore the people closest to the problem, we're spending more energy to listen less carefully. That's not bigger solutions. That's bigger machinery. But we shouldn't leave this with a simple nature good AI bad message, because that would be lazy. Ants can follow bad signals. Human groups can spread rumors, and local knowledge can be incomplete. AI can help catch patterns that people may miss, especially when many reports come in at once. The better answer is a layered system. Let the community sense, let local reports update the map, and let AI help emergency services see patterns, translate needs, compare route options, and allocate supplies fairly. Final decisions still need accountability to the people whose lives are on the line. When AI listens to the swarm, it becomes more useful. When it ignores that living network, it becomes brittle. And that word matters because a brittle system can look strong until the first rod disappears. So if you are building ethical AI or designing a community response tool, start with local sensing. Before you build the model, ask who already knows the terrain, the water points, the footpaths, the social ties, and the risks that don't appear on official maps. Then build feedback loops. A good route should get stronger when people confirm it, and a bad route should fade quickly when people report danger. Don't make the first answer too powerful to challenge. Use quorum before action. If food, medicine, or people are moving through risk, require confirmation from more than one kind of source. A message from the city, a report from the footpath, and a local memory of that slope together are stronger than any one of them alone. Keep consent at the center. Community knowledge isn't free raw material. People should know what is being shared, who can access it, and what will be protected, and how the community benefits. Then put AI where it belongs. Let it summarize, translate, coordinate, simulate, and warn. Don't let it replace the living network that understands the place. That's the BIGA Solutions approach. Biomimicry gives us the pattern, Indigenous Genius gives us the place-based intelligence, and ethical artificial intelligence helps coordinate without taking over. Try this on one real problem in your own community. Then comment with the problem you would test first, because the next breakthrough may not come from a bigger machine, but from a better way of listening. As I always say, go bigger, go bigger, go bigger. Well, we've come to the end of our episode as the sun goes down. Maybe I should show you what the sun looks like now. Let me turn this up. There goes the sun. Got a lot of people coming to look at the sun here.